What's up, everybody? You're watching JoeBox TV, and we are gonna get into the madness that is going down today with YouTube sensation, internet celebrity KSI fighting two fighters in one night, Swarmz and Luis Pineda. Luis Pineda being a legit pro boxer with a 2-4 record, albeit fighting out of Mexico. But don't let the 2-4 record fool you, as we know, competition is pretty high there in Mexico, and Mexican fighters have that stereotype of always being ready to fight and coming to fight with ferocity. And I think if, depending on how well prepared KSI is, this could be a very big challenge for him. Swarmz, not so much. Very strange situation, very bold, however. I have a hard time believing that a pro boxing commission would sanction this, given, for one, we just found out yesterday that this will be a 3-round fight. Both of these fights, KSI versus Swarmz and KSI versus Pineda, will be 3-round fights, as will all the rest of the fights on the card, I believe. So, on top of that, would a commission really sanction one fighter fighting two guys in one night? I find it hard to believe. We have seen things like this in England with prize fighter, where fighters would fight multiple times in one day in 3-round fights. England had this prize fighter tournament several years ago that would often go on. I don't know if it's still going on today, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but nevertheless this only happens under extremely unique and rare circumstances, if at all. There's some controversy as to whether this will even count under KSI's professional record. BoxRec isn't going to list this fight, it doesn't appear. The commission in England that is hosting this fight is on record. It does say on their website that they host amateur and semi-pro boxing and kickboxing events. So I find it hard to believe that this is a true, legit pro fight, but nevertheless, I think we're going to get a lot of entertainment here. I just wanted to clear the air on that, because there is a bit of misunderstanding thinking that this will be a true pro fight that will count on KSI's pro record. Nevertheless, I think he walks through Swarmz. Most people, when they saw this fight was going to happen, thought it's not worthy opponent, and I thought the same thing myself. He's even admitted, Swarmz has, that he's only just now learned to box, so KSI, with having a few years of boxing experience, with legit pro sparring partners and trainers, and having fought Joe Weller and Logan Paul 2 times, seems to have a tremendous advantage in boxing experience. I'm not mistaking him for a top-level pro, but he appears to me to at least have the athleticism and skill set to be at least a lower tier pro fighter with potential. So I think he walks through Swarmz. I saw Swarmz in the warm-up. He didn't look to have much boxing ability. He looked very beginnerish. Pineda, on the other hand, seems to be a bit awkward, could give KSI some problems. So I'm predicting that KSI stops Swarmz in the 2nd round. I'll give Swarmz 1 round that I think he'll survive just on toughness. KSI is going to feel him out, I think, and then he'll get him out there in the 2nd. Pineda, I have no doubt in my mind that the fight probably goes the distance there. I think KSI takes a decision there, even with it being his 2nd fight of the night. Now let's get into the co-feature here. Faze Temperrr versus Slim Albaher. Faze Temperrr fought on the Showstar card several months ago on the undercard of Deji versus Alex Wasabi. It seemed as though he won when he fought King Kenny, and ultimately that decision got overturned to a win for Faze Temperrr. I didn't see the whole fight, but I did see highlights. Temperrr seems to be somewhat seasoned. Southpaw stance, good left hand, has good punching form, and I think he probably gets past Slim Albaher here. He is 3-0 in this kind of unique white-collar YouTube boxing world. He has produced some highlight reel knockouts, albeit against inexperienced fighters. And when it ultimately comes down to his style, he seems to be this kind of Tyson Fury wannabe, very loose, not really crisp and precise with his punches, despite having decent athleticism. And I think Faze Temperrr is going to be a little bit more accurate, more composed, and get the decision victory here. I want to dive into one more of these fights, Deji versus vsfousey. I've been watching Deji along with his brother KSI since I was younger, and I followed the guy for a long time. I've been following his boxing ever since the Jake Paul fight of 4 years ago, and he did well early on, but ultimately his stamina failed him. Second fight did very well against some random TikToker, I can't remember his name, and he was beating him, and then ultimately his stamina failed him again. He took a knee, and it was quite a humiliating loss for him. Third fight against Alex Wasabi, I thought he demonstrated terrific defensive capabilities, but ultimately didn't take advantage of the opportunities to counter and got outworked, and Alex Wasabi won. It's been a tough road in this YouTube boxing scene for him, but one thing you have to give him credit for, he has no quit in him. And I think he gets over the hump here and gets his first victory. I'll tell you why. vsfousey is very determined, very strong fighter, it appears. In his one contest that he had against Slim Albaher, he's very tough, kept coming forward, but was getting hit continuously, leading with his chin, zero defense, zero head movement whatsoever. I would think that he's probably polished that up a little bit, but I still expect a similar come forward aggressive style, and I expect him to make a lot of mistakes that I think Deji will exploit. Now, he does seem to be in slightly better shape than Deji, much better shape than Deji, at least in terms of appearance. He's made an amazing transformation, but ultimately, as Deji said yesterday at the weigh-in, bodies don't make fights. And I think style-wise, Deji, as I mentioned before, has the defensive capabilities to make guys miss. And I think he'll actually counter this time because vsfousey will be there to be hit. And I think Deji boxes his way to a close decision. I'm going to go over quickly some more of these YouTube boxing contests that will appear on this card between guys who on paper have similar names to what you would find in an Xbox tournament or something. But here we go. Faze Sensei versus King Kenny. I'm just from the bits of research I've done, I'll take Faze Sensei by decision. DeenTheGreat versus Evilhero. I'll take DeenTheGreat. He seems actually fairly polished. Despite the lack of experience, he seems to be very skilled, very athletic. And Papi versus Andy Warski. Papi can actually fight. He's actually got decent technique, despite his bigger frame, although he has lost weight. And I think he's much more polished, much better technique-wise, and will get a stoppage victory here. Also, there's one more fight. Sam the Candyman Hyde versus IAMTHMPSON. All I've seen of Sam Hyde was just a little bit of footage from the open workout, and he looked exhausted just from that open workout. He was gasping after just a little bit of mid work, and I appreciate them at least having the courage to get in the ring here, but I think IAMTHMPSON, who's trained at Wildcard and seems to have had some experience around real boxing trainers, will get the victory here. Let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, JoeBox TV out.